you someone with 3 different books partially finished? Or maybe you haven't even started any of them because you don't know which one to write first. If you're wondering what book should be your first book, then this video is for you. Hey there, I'm Julie the Book Broad, founder of a fabulous full-service self-publishing firm, Book Launchers. I've had the pleasure of speaking with thousands of people who are working on a book or thinking of publishing a book. And I can tell you that it's quite common to have more than one book idea and not be sure what the first one to focus on is. The thing that you might not like to hear is that there isn't a right answer. You can write to market, which is what some people in the industry recommend. That's all about finding the category that has the buyers but doesn't have as many books. There's demand but not much supply. You can become the supply. That can work, but it might not work for you. Ultimately, there are many things to consider, and the choice you make has to be right for you. To help you figure out what you might want to do first, I'll share the questions I ask with folks who come to me with this challenge. There's essentially 3 questions. What's your bigger picture goal? What book has more market appeal? And which book are you more passionate about? If your #1 goal is to sell books, to make a living as an author, all other goals aside, you need to move on to question 2. But sometimes your goal is to become a known expert in your industry or develop a business in a specific area. I know the next book that's needed in my writing career is a book on book marketing. So if you want to be an early reader, make sure you've subscribed to the channel and turn notifications on because you will be the first one invited to check out that book when it's going to come out. So if your goal is a business one, then the first book should be a book that is positioned to boost your brand and your business. It needs to be focused on being written for the ideal reader, who are the ideal audience for your business that you're building. You wouldn't want to write a book about the story of your heroic pet parrot who saved the lives of children in a burning school. What am I talking about? But you wouldn't want to write that book unless your business was fire prevention and you could tie it all together. However, if your story is one about building a car with recycled materials and you want to be known as an expert in the welding field with an interesting angle that'll make you stand out, writing a book about the use of unique materials in common situations that might save time, money, or improve safety or some other outcome, well, now you're starting to have something that has alignment to your bigger picture goal. I'm really reaching with those examples. All right, sometimes people come to me who have 2 books that they want to write that are very different, and neither are tied to their bigger picture goal. They're passion projects or legacy projects more than business ROI-oriented projects. When that's the case, I'm going to jump to question 3 and then question 2. What's the passion level for the books? And if there isn't a clear winner, then you can focus on the market appeal of the books. Is there a clear audience and a clear need for the one book over the other? That can give them clarity. But how do you judge the market appeal? Go ahead, YouTube besties, post in the comments the software our friends need to buy in order to see how books are selling in different categories. Now that you've seen all the fabulous folks like Bill Miller, Deborah Lloyd, Alan West, Brian K. Morris, Efren Delgado, Melissa Cook, and Linda K. Lee saying it, thanks for your comments, likes, and shares, besties. You can go ahead and check it out. I'm talking about Publisher Rocket. This is the tool to use if you're writing to market and you want to find categories that are underserved. When you have 2 book ideas and you don't have a clear winner between them from a passion perspective or a bigger goal perspective, check out what books are already talking about that subject you want to talk about and how are they selling. How big is the competition you're going to be faced with in those categories? Now, when you're seeing potential, my next thing to say is, okay, you have to write X book. The other one doesn't have the same potential. And then I pause. And then I say, how do you feel about that? Often being told that you shouldn't or can't do one thing reveals the emotions you have about it. Maybe it's relief, disappointment, anger, excitement. But that emotion that you feel will tell you which book is your passion winner after all. Often passion is what will dictate what must be written first. The market doesn't matter as much as what you feel compelled to share. Remember my first book, More Than Cash Flow? It was a book that experts told me was too generic and wouldn't sell. Wiley Publishing said that it had been done before. But I knew it was a book that needed to be written and that could help even just one real estate investor avoid big mistakes. I felt I had to write it. I couldn't have written other books with enthusiasm because this was the book that had to get out of me to make room for others. Sometimes that's just how it is. For some people, they want to know all the lights will be green before they set out on their book equivalent of a road trip. But the reality is that is never going to be the case. Just ask our authors who launched in March of 2020. Life throws curveballs all the time. There are no guarantees. And when it comes to choosing what book to write first, well, sometimes you just have to start writing in order to discover the book you really need to write. We've had some clients who start writing one book only to discover they really don't want to write that book, or that isn't really what their message is, but the book they must write becomes crystal clear. Ultimately, my own belief in life and in writing is the missing piece is action. If you spend too much time trying to decide what book to write first, then no book will be written. There's value in taking a moment to think strategically, but this should not be a decision of a lifetime. It should merely be a pause on the way to getting started with the writing. Now, if you're someone who doesn't have a clear idea, but you want to write a book, that's a different challenge than choosing between multiple ideas. And that's a great topic for a future video. So make sure you've subscribed to the channel and turn those notifications on so you'll be notified when that video comes out. In the meantime, I highly recommend you pick up a copy of my latest book, Self-Publish and Succeed, to help you think through your book. It's the no boring book way to write a nonfiction book that sells. And after you've picked up your copy at selfpublishandsucceed.com, you might want to check out this video right here on making money from nonfiction books, or this one on working with a book coach, because a coach might be the exact person you need to talk with in order to get a great writing plan in place for your book. Go ahead. I'm waiting.